Hi, my name is Megan Wakefield. I conducted a survey that was research-based needs for McKinney-Vento students. I'm going to first talk about the research that I mostly identified as barriers and protective factors, or just kind of surprising things that came up for me. The research on the students experiencing homelessness consistently identified housing stability as the most critical need. Without stable housing, students are more likely to experience disruptions in attendance, academic performances, and emotional well-being. That data was definitely shown in the survey, something I wasn't surprised about. The survey also highlighted food insecurity, lack of transportation, and the need for reliable adult support as a common challenge. These needs are especially pronounced in rural communities where resources are limited. Some needs identified through the survey data. The survey data closely mirrored what is documented in the research, but added in important local contexts, specifically in my district, which is a very rural area, consists of 5 towns with not a lot of resources around. While homelessness is often associated with shelters in urban areas, our rural district sees a higher rate of doubled up housing, campers, and motel stays. And the motel stays are typically for people who access general assistance, not so much homeless youth, which is more so what I was trying to focus on in this survey. But I do see a lot of teens who are doubled up with just people who they find supportive in the district or family and friends. The food insecurity that emerged in the survey was the most pressing concern, particularly due to the government shutdown and the strain that our local food pantries are having. I've had more students reach out for food support, gift cards to our local grocery store. This was something that I wasn't shocked by this survey, but I think after reviewing it and talking with staff and reviewing the survey, they were surprised by the amount of food insecurity that we are currently facing, and I feel that we will continue to face in the future as this government shutdown continues. Both research and survey data have aligned in identifying housing, food, transportation, and adult support as key needs. However, this survey did highlight differences specific to our rural settings specifically. Unlike urban-focused research that often centers on shelters, my homeless youth and students are more likely to be doubled up or living in campers. These campers can be on someone's property, and they might have minimal access to electricity, heat, and hot water, and we are in Maine, so that is something that we are faced with a huge challenge, and we work closely with our local resources to fill these gaps of challenges, especially during the winter months. Our local housing market, including landlords selling properties and increasing rent, emerged as a more prominent issue in our survey than in broader research. Again, something I'm not really shocked by, but just something interesting to highlight and again show staff. And I'm really using this survey as a learning tool for my staff as well. In advocacy efforts and implementation, the advocacy effort that I focused on was gathering meaningful data through a needs assessment survey. The goal was to better understand some of the gaps in services and identify where additional support is needed. I feel that this collaboration with school social workers, counselors, nurses, and school administrators was critical in collecting accurate information and interpreting some of the results. There were some barriers encountered during this survey. One major barrier was the mismatch between the original survey design and its actual participants. The survey was written with students and families in mind, but was completed by staff, requiring revisions to better capture some of that actionable data first before I approached students and families. Additionally, the limited resources such as food and housing options and transportation meant that even when the needs were identified, solutions were not always immediately available. I had a few lessons learned or key takeaways that I will gather from this survey, which is the importance of aligning survey design with the target audience. That was major for me. I really had to adjust that. This experience reinforced that our rural school district really requires different approaches than urban settings. While data collection is essential, it has to be paired with realistic and accessible resources. I think the collaboration among school staff really proved to be invaluable in identifying some creative solutions despite some of the systemic limitations. So, moving forward, advocacy efforts should really focus on defining and refining some of that data collection method to include more direct family input. Those are the people that are really boots on the ground actually dealing with some of these crises. Strengthening community partnerships and advocating for some increased funding and resources should be essential, especially in our community. And I think that I could take this survey to our board of directors and even town municipals. But above all else, maintaining this educational stability for McKinney-Vento, some of our unaccompanied and homeless youth, has to remain the focus of ongoing advocacy work in our school district. I'm proud to be doing this work. I have been a McKinney-Vento liaison for about 5 years now in a school district that is near and dear to my heart. It's just very challenging when you don't have the funding and support from micro and macro levels of townships and even our state. But ongoing, I think together we can get our homeless and unaccompanied youth in a place where they really can succeed in school. Thank you.